欢迎大家到这里来。
My helper Brooke is very nervous.
我很紧张。
So you must promise that you will be gentle with her.
所以你必须保证你们对我比较有善意。
I know that you have already had an announcement about Vacation Bible School in the summer.
我知道有人已经告诉你们有那个孩子的暑期圣经班。
But I just want to remind you that that will be happening in the 3rd week in July.
但我就想提醒你们那个会在7月的第3个星期发生。
And it is for children from junior kindergarten to grade 5.
是给幼儿园到5年级的孩子。
And there is also need for helpers.
也有很多需要需要有帮手。
I know that some of you have signed up already, which is wonderful.
我知道你们中间有些人已经要去帮忙这是非常好的。
But we look forward to being able to minister to children in the summer.
但是我们希望有更多的时间可以给我们的孩子去教导他们这个家庭。
I also want to say Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers.
我还想告诉所有的父亲们，父亲节快乐。
I'm privileged to have 3 adult children.
我自己有3个已经成年了的孩子。
And 3 grandchildren.
还有3个孙子孙女。
And 1 on the way.
还有一个马上就要出生了。
Grandchild.
孙子孙女。
Yes. This morning I want us to look at the last book in the Bible.
今天早上我们要看圣经中最后一本书。
Which is the book of Revelation.
就是启示录。
There are some parts of Revelation which are very difficult.
启示录中有很多很难的章节。
But I've chosen to speak to you about a part which is not so difficult.
但是我今天选的这个对大家可能稍微简单一点。
In Revelation chapter 1.
我们今天来看启示录第1章。
As those who are Christians, our lives are formed around Jesus.
作为一个基督徒，我们的生命的中心是耶稣基督。
There are people who live around us who form their lives around other things.
我们身边有许多人会把他们生命建立在很多不同的事情上。
So some people will form their life around their work.
很多人生活的中心是他的工作。
Or they will form their life around their family.
或者他们的家庭是他们的生活中心。
Or they will form their life around earning money.
或者他们赚钱是他们的生活中心。
Or about being famous or important.
或者想要成为一个很出名的人。
And those things are not necessarily bad in themselves.
这些事情不一定它就是坏事。
But for followers of Jesus, we form our life around the person of Jesus.
但是对于基督徒来讲，我们把我们的生活的中心建立在耶稣基督这位身上。
And the Apostle John, who wrote Revelation, tells us 3 things about how our life is formed.
使徒约翰这本书的作者告诉我们，我们的生活的3个重心。
So in Revelation 1 verse 9,
在启示录第1章第9节
he says this.
他说
I, John, your brother and companion in the suffering and kingdom and patient endurance that are ours in Jesus.
我约翰就是你们的弟兄，和你们在耶稣的患难、国度、忍耐里一同有份。
As our lives are formed around Jesus, we experience 3 things.
当我们把生命的中心建立在耶稣基督身上，我们生活中会有3个重要的元素。
The first one may surprise you.
第一个可能会让你觉得有点奇怪。
As our lives are formed around Jesus, we continue to experience suffering.
当我们成为一个基督徒之后，我们还会面对生活的压力和患难。
So that as followers of Jesus, we're not free from suffering.
作为一个耶稣的门徒，从来没有保障过苦难就不会来临。
In fact, there are some ways in which we experience more suffering as followers of Jesus.
事实上，耶稣的跟随者也可能会因为信耶稣经历各种各样的困难。
Followers of Jesus continue to have difficulties with their health.
基督徒也会生病，
And we pray for healing,
我们可能会祷告求神医治，
but God does not always choose to heal.
但是神不是每一次都决定要医治我们。
In our English congregation 2 weeks ago,
在我们的英文堂2个星期之前，
we had the funeral service for a man who died who was 56 years old.
我们有一个葬礼，为了一个56岁的人举行。
And over the last 2 years, he experienced cancer, which finally killed him.
这2年来，他一直有癌症，最后他因为癌症而去世。
So being a follower of Jesus does not take away suffering.
所以，作为一个耶稣的门徒，这并不代表我们就不会受苦。
There are times where being a follower of Jesus means we will experience persecution.
事实上，作为一个基督徒，可能我们会感觉到迫害。
And you may recall just a few months ago in Kenya
你可能会想到前几个月在肯尼亚，
that some students were sought out specifically because they were followers of Jesus.
有一些学生专门被找出来，就是因为他们是基督徒。
And I know that it is often difficult in China for those who want to follow Jesus.
我也知道，在中国很多基督徒的生活也不容易。
And so the Apostle John simply says, I am a sufferer like you are.
所以约翰就很简单的讲，我就是和你们一起在耶稣的患难中。
The Apostle John also says that we are those who look for a kingdom.
约翰也说了，我们是一个盼望神国度的人。
In other words, we are those who look forward to the future.
这意味着我们是对未来有希望的人。
I think we can go forward too. We look forward to a time when there will be no suffering.
我们盼望一个时期没有患难的时候。
I want to read a couple of verses from the end of Revelation.
我想从启示录最后几章读一下。
From chapter 21, verses 3 to 5.
启示录21章5到6节。
John writes,
约翰写。
And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. He who was seated on the throne said, I am making everything new. 21, Revelation 21, 3 to 5.
我听见有大声音从宝座出来说：“看哪，神的帐幕在人间，也要神要亲自与他们同在，做他们的神。神要擦去他们一切的眼泪，不再有死亡，也不再有悲哀、哭嚎、疼痛，因为以前的事都过去了。”做宝座的说：“看哪，我将一切都更新了。”又说：“你要写上，因这些话是可信的，是真实的。”
Thank you. I don't know what it is about the world that burdens your heart.
我不知道这世界上什么东西让你的心情非常的沉重。
If it is the suffering of children,
这可以是在患难中的孩子们，
if it is unfairness that happens to different people,
或者是你觉得这世上很多在人身上发生的不公正的事情，
if it is war,
也许是战争。
those who are followers of Jesus look forward to a change in everything.
而基督徒们等待一个全新的世界。
We look forward to a time when all things will be made new.
我们等待一个时代，当所有的事情都会变成新的。
And so John pictures life with Jesus in the center,
所以约翰的意象就是耶稣在生活的中心。
saying we live in suffering now.
虽然我们生活在患难之中，
We look forward to God's work in the kingdom.
我们对神国度有期待。
And then the third part, he says, is that we live in patient endurance.
而第三个元素就是我们生活在忍耐和耐心之中。
There are some people who live just in resignation in the present.
有些人觉得生活就是活在现在。
Things will never change.
事情从来不会改变。
Things will always be bad.
事情永远都是不好的。
We will always suffer.
我们永远都会患难。
And then there are others who always look to utopia in the future.
也有一些人经常去看一个乌托邦的国家，有一个完美的世界。
And they're always looking for something better and wonderful in the future.
他们永远在未来找寻着更好的事情。
As the followers of Jesus, we are able to hold these two together.
作为一个基督徒来讲，我们可以把这两个合在一起。
So that we are able to experience suffering.
所以我们一边可以忍受生活的困难。
And still look forward in hope to what God will do.
并且期待着将来神美好的工作。
And John says we do this because Jesus is at the center.
约翰说，我们做这个就是因为耶稣基督在我们生活的中心。
And so in Revelation chapter 1, John has a vision.
所以在启示录第1章，约翰有一个异象。
And he sees the Jesus who is in the center of our life.
他看到耶稣基督的确是那一位在我们生活中心的耶稣。
The John who is writing is the Apostle John.
这位约翰是耶稣基督的12个门徒之一。
So he's the one who knew Jesus well.
他是一位非常知道耶稣基督的人。
He lived with Jesus for 3 years.
他和耶稣一起生活了3年。
He followed Jesus as he taught and as he healed.
他看到耶稣教导医治病人。
And yet in this vision, he gains a bigger picture of who Jesus is.
但是在这个意象里，他更看到了耶稣更大的意象。
So that in suffering,
所以在患难之中
he can look forward to God's kingdom.
他可以期待神将来的国度。
With patient endurance.
以耐心忍耐。
And with Jesus at the center.
以耶稣基督为他生活的中心。
If you travel somewhere that is difficult,
如果你去一个
if you travel somewhere that is difficult,
如果你去一个你去旅行去了一个比较艰难的地方。
It's very important who goes with you.
很重要的一件事情就是你的同伴是谁。
So someday I want to visit China.
所以有一天我希望我可以去中国。
And I hope that my wife Gail can come with me.
我希望我的妻子 Gail 可以一起来。
But she will be no help.
但是她一点用都没有。
Because she speaks no Mandarin.
因为她不讲中文。
She has never been to China.
她从来没有去过中国。
She is not a confident traveler.
她没有自信去到这个地方。
So when I go to China, I want Gail to come.
所以当我去中国的时候，我希望我的妻子可以跟我一起来。
But I want Pastor Don to come with me.
但我也希望李牧师可以跟我一起来。
Because I want someone to come along who speaks Mandarin.
因为我想要一个讲中文的同伴。
And who knows how to travel in China.
也知道在中国怎样旅游。
And who knows how to navigate the culture.
也知道在文化当中文化习俗是怎样的。
And the more frightening the situation,
如果遇到很可怕的状况
the more important it is who you have with you.
那你跟着你身边的人就尤其重要。
And so the Apostle John has a vision of Jesus.
所以使徒约翰有一个很重要的
The Apostle John has a vision of Jesus.
所以约翰就有一个对于耶稣的意象。
Who is with him?
这位耶稣是跟着他的。
In the middle of his difficult circumstances.
在所有的患难中，耶稣都跟他同在。
When the Apostle John wrote the Revelation,
当使徒约翰写了这一本启示录
he was a prisoner.
他那时是一个囚犯。
And he was placed on a prison island called Patmos.
他那时候在一个岛上专门囚禁囚犯的，叫做巴摩岛。
there were quarries on the island of Patmos.
在那个岛上有采石场，
And so John would have to work hard digging rocks.
所以约翰每天的工作就是去采那些石头。
And he was there because he was a follower of Jesus.
他在那里是因为他的信仰。
And at the end of the day,
在一天结束的时候，
after he had worked hard in the sun,
在他在太阳底下辛苦工作了一天，
he would have opportunity to rest
他会有机会可以休息，
and to pray.
去祷告。
And it seems it was in one of those times that he had a vision.
好像是在这种情况下，约翰有了耶稣这个意象。
So I'm going to let Brooke read, if you can read chapter 1, verse 9, right to the very end of chapter 1.
OK，所以我们来看启示录1章，从第9节开始一直到最后。我约翰就是。
Sorry, just before you read, listen for the picture that John gets of Jesus.
大家可以想象，耶稣不是耶稣，约翰看到的这个耶稣的意象到底是怎样的？我约翰就是你们的弟兄，和你们在耶稣的患难、国度、忍耐里一同有份，为神的道，并为给耶稣做的见证，曾在那名叫伯麻的海岛上。当主日，我被圣灵感动，听见在我后面有大声音如吹号，说：“你所看见的，当写在书上。宋达、以弗所、士美达、迦拿摩、推雅拉、萨迪、菲拉铁菲、劳底加7个教会。”我转过身来，要看是谁发声与我说话。既转过来，就看见7个金灯台，灯台中间有一位好像人子，身穿长衣，从头到脚，胸间束着金带，他的头与发皆白，如同羊毛，如雪，眼目如同火焰，脚好像在炉中锻炼光明的铜，声音如同重水的声音。他右手拿着7星，从他口中出来一把2刃的利剑，面容如同烈日放光。我一看见，就扑倒在他脚前，像死了一样。他从右手按着我说：“不要惧怕，我是首先的，我是末后的，又是那存活的。我曾死过，现在又活了，只活到永永远远，并且拿着死亡和阴间的钥匙。所以你要把所看见的和现在的事，并将来必成的事都写出来。论到你所看见在我右手中的7星和7个灯台的奥秘，那7星就是7个教会的使者，7灯台就是7个教会。”
The Apostle John, at the end of a weary day, when he's tired, needs to rest.
约翰现在面对着一个很累很乏的一天，现在他终于有时间可以休息了。
Sees a vision of Jesus.
看到一个耶稣的意象。
And he hears a sound.
他听见了一个声音。
He tells us he hears a sound like a trumpet.
他说他听见的那个声音就像吹号一样。
And he hears a voice like the rushing of mighty water.
他听见一个声音就像重水冲过的一样。
Now John had spent 3 years with Jesus, so he knew Jesus' voice.
请记住，约翰和耶稣在一起3年，所以他一定知道耶稣的声音。
He heard Jesus teach.
他听见耶稣教导。
He heard Jesus teach the Sermon on the Mount.
他听见了登山宝训。
He heard Jesus say to the storm.
他听见耶稣对暴风说话。
Peace, be still.
安定了，静了吧。
He heard Jesus say to the dead.
他听了耶稣对死了的人说话。
Lazarus, come forth.
Lazarus 起来吧。
John knew the voice of Jesus.
约翰知道耶稣的声音。
But in the vision, when he hears Jesus speak,
但是在这个意象里，当他听见耶稣说话时
he doesn't recognize the voice.
他不知道这个声音是从哪里来的。
Because it is like a trumpet.
因为那像吹号的声音。
In the courts of kings, a trumpet blows.
在
to get attention.
Sorry. in the court，
in the presence of kings.
在国王的面前会有吹号，
A trumpet blows to get attention.
这样所有的人都会把注意力放在那里。
You have seen Niagara Falls?
你看过尼加拉瓜瀑布吗？
When you stand close to the water, it's very loud.
当你离那个水很近的是非常大的声音，
You can't talk to other people because it's so loud.
你都不能跟别人好好的说话，因为都听不见。
So when Jesus speaks to John,
所以当耶稣对约翰说话时，
he speaks as one who has authority.
耶稣讲话时是非常有权柄的，
He speaks as one who has power.
非常有力量的，
He speaks as one who has strength.
是非常全能的声音。
And John needs to hear Jesus in a new way.
而约翰需要听到一个新的一个耶稣新的声音。
If John is going to follow Jesus in the center,
如果约翰生活的中心是耶稣，
he is going to need to hear his voice
他需要听到耶稣的声音，
in a way that he's not heard him before.
就像他从来没有听过的耶稣的声音。
We will come back to application later,
我们会一会儿会来到这对我们的影响是什么。
but I want to say that you and I need to hear Jesus in a new way.
但是我今天说，我们所有的人都需要重新认识到耶稣的声音，
So we can put him into the center of our life.
所以我们可以把它作为我们生活的中心。
John also sees Jesus in a new way.
约翰也看到了一个完全不一样的耶稣，
He hears Jesus in a new way.
他听到了一个
He also sees Jesus in a new way.
他看到了一个更有力的耶稣。
John knew Jesus.
约翰认识耶稣，
Jesus was his friend.
耶稣就是他的朋友。
He had seen him in many different circumstances.
他看见耶稣在非常非常多不同的处境里。
John had seen Jesus when he was exhausted.
他看见过耶稣非常劳累的时候。
You may remember the story when Jesus was in the boat, worn out.
你也许可以想到，当耶稣在船里的时候，非常的精疲力尽。
John had seen Jesus riding on the donkey into Jerusalem.
约翰看见过耶稣骑着驴进入耶路撒冷城。
John had seen Jesus carrying the cross out of the city of Jerusalem.
约翰看见过耶稣背着他的十字架出耶路撒冷。
John had seen Jesus after the resurrection.
约翰也见过复活后的耶稣。
When John said to Thomas, "Touch my hand
当耶稣伸出手让托马斯摸摸他手上，
and put your hand in my side."
让他把手摸一摸他的他的肋骨。
And John had seen Jesus rise into heaven.
约翰也看过耶稣升天的那一刻。
And yet here he has a vision of Jesus that is larger or bigger than anything he had seen.
但耶稣从来没有像现在见过一个这样大的耶稣。
I'm not sure how this works in Mandarin, but in English we have 6 times the word like.
在这一段里面有6处是表达就像好像的意思。
So in verse 13,
所以在第13节，
he's one who's like a son of man.
他好像人子。
And John is thinking there about Daniel chapter 7.
约翰在这里想到但以理书第7节，
where Daniel had a vision
在但以理书，但以理有一个意象，
of one who is great and powerful.
有一位全能的人站在他前面。
He goes on to say he was wearing a robe down to his feet.
他继续讲说，人子穿着一个长袍，
And a golden sash around his chest. Verse 13. Last part of verse 13.
胸间束着金带。
And he describes his hair.
他也形容了他的头发
and his eyes
他的眼睛
and his feet.
他的脚
And again, he says his voice was like the rushing waters.
然后他又说他的声音就像众水一样
And the overall impression that John has is of power.
所以约翰对耶稣整体的印象就是能力
The Jesus that he sees is God himself.
这一位耶稣就是约翰看到的这一位耶稣就是神本身
And although he retains human form,
耶稣也许有着人的形象
he is God powerful with John.
他是全能的神和约翰在一起
All of the visual things that John sees have to do with power,
所有约翰看到的东西都和能力有关系
and with wisdom,
和智慧有关系
and with authority.
和权柄有关系
When we see someone who is a judge, we recognize their robe.
当我们看到一个法官我们可以从他的长袍中看出来
Or we recognize the uniform of a policeman.
或者如果我们看到警察我们看到他的制服就知道了
In Canada, sometimes the mayor of a city
在加拿大有一些时候市长
will wear a fancy golden chain.
会戴一个金色的项链
Which is the symbol of power and authority in the city.
这就是代表他在这个城市中的权柄
And John sees Jesus as the one who is all-powerful king.
约翰看到了这位耶稣就是一位全能的王
He is the one who is the ruler of all kings
他是所有王之中的王
and the king of all kings. He's
万
the,
王之王
he's the ruler of all kings and the king of all kings.
他是王的王还有万王之王 Yep.
You need to understand why this is important.
你需要知道为什么这很重要
Because it was the Caesar who put John on Patmos.
因为在耶稣在地上的时候是王 Caesar 把他钉死
So it was a human king who put John there.
所以是一个人类的王把约翰放在了那个岛上
And in his vision, he sees Jesus,
在约翰的意象中他看到了耶稣
who is a greater king than Caesar.
是一个比 Caesar 还大的王
So you understand, as John is going to put Jesus in the center,
所以你知道当使徒约翰把耶稣放在他生命的中心时
that seeing the greatness of Jesus
然后再看到耶稣到底有多么的全能
gives him courage and strength.
让他的心中充满了勇气
So John hears the voice of Jesus in a new way.
所以约翰像从来没有听过耶稣的声音一样又重新认识了耶稣的声音
And he sees the form of Jesus in a new way.
他重新认识了耶稣的形象
This Jesus is king.
这一位耶稣是王
And he discovers the power of Jesus in a new way.
他也重新发现了耶稣的能力
Maybe Brooke just read verse 17 and 18 again.
启示录17章到18节17节到18节我一看见就扑倒在他脚前像死了一样他用右手按着我说不要惧怕我是首先的我是末后的又是那存活的我曾死过现在又活了只活到永永远远并且拿着死亡和阴间的钥匙
So Jesus says to John, I am the first and the last.
所以耶稣对使徒约翰说我是首先的也是末后的
So Jesus is not stuck in time.
所以耶稣并不像我们一样会困在时间当中
We always have problems with time.
我们总隔时间打架
Maybe I will say, I always have problem with time.
或者说我的时间总是很乱
I set a time to meet with Pastor Don.
我会和李牧师设一个时间一起
And then almost every week,
几乎每一个星期
I have to go and say, Pastor Don, Can we meet at 2:30 instead of 2 o'clock?
我就会对李牧师说，我们可以2:30吗？虽然前面定的是2点钟。
Because we're limited by time.
因为我们是有限的在时间当中。
And by what we can accomplish in a certain amount of time.
我们也有被限制在时间一个时间所能做的事情。
But as Jesus presents himself to John,
但当耶稣把自己展现给约翰时
he says, I am the beginning and the end.
他说：“我是首先的，也是末后的。
I'm not one who's stuck in time.
我不像你困在时间当中。
We are also those who are stuck with limited time because we die.
我们一生的时间也是受到限制的，就从出生到死亡。
I don't think of myself to be an old person.
我不觉得我很老，
And yet I know that I don't have so much time as I did when I was 20.
但是我也知道，我不像我再没有像20岁那样有那么多的时间了。
And I see my grandson who is 9 years old.
我也看到我的孙子孙女现在9岁了。
And I think, I won't know him when he's 50 years old.
当他50岁的时候，我不会再认出他来，
Because my life will be over by then.
因为那时我已经不在了。
And so I'm very aware of being limited by time.
所以我非常知道我的生命是受时间的限制的。
But the Jesus who shows himself to John
但是这一位向约翰展现自己的耶稣
is not limited by death.
是不会死亡的，
Because Jesus has already died
因为耶稣已经经过了死亡，
and been raised from the dead
然后重生了，
and is alive forever.
然后永远都活着。
And so John needs to see this Jesus
所以约翰需要看见这一位耶稣，
so that he knows that even if the Caesar takes his life,
这样他就知道，也许地上的王可以杀了他，
his life is entrusted to this Jesus
他真正的生命是给了这一位耶稣。
who is the one who has victory over death.
这一位耶稣是已经战胜了死亡的那一位。
And John needs to know the power of Jesus.
耶稣需要知道约翰需要知道耶稣巨大的能力。
John sees Jesus with a very interesting picture.
约翰看到的耶稣非常的有意思。
Jesus says, I hold the keys of death and Hades.
耶稣说：“我有那死亡和阴间的钥匙。
Hades is the resting place of the dead.
阴间是死人存留的地方。
So in the Old Testament, they didn't understand as well.
在旧约时期，他们没有完全的理解
What happened at death?
死亡之后会发生什么。
So according to the New Testament,
而新约当中，
we believe that those who die in Christ
我们相信在耶稣基督中死亡的人，
go to be with him.
会死亡后会和耶稣在一起。
But the Old Testament pictures Hades as a resting place for the dead.
而在旧约当中，阴间就是死人存留的地方。
And Jesus says, I'm the one who has the keys for that.
而耶稣说：“我有死亡和阴间的钥匙，
I'm the one who has control over that.
我是控制这两个东西的人。”
So that John's heart can be encouraged
所以约翰可以心中充满了力量。
that Jesus, who he has put at the center of his life,
这一位在他生命中作王的耶稣，
is the one who has control over all time,
是有控制时间的能力的，
is the one who is the victor over death,
是战胜了死亡的那一位，
and is the one who holds the keys of death and hell.
是拥有阴间和地狱的钥匙的那一位。
So John hears Jesus' voice in a new way.
所以约翰像从来没有听过耶稣的声音一样，听到了他的声音。
He sees the power, the authority of Jesus in a new way.
他看到了耶稣更大的能力，
He discovers the power of Jesus in a new way.
他看到了耶稣更大的权柄。
He also feels the presence of Jesus in a new way.
他更是感觉到了耶稣的同在。
There are several pictures in this vision
在这个意象中有几个图画，
that show Jesus' presence.
让我们看到了耶稣的同在。
John sees Jesus among the candles.
耶稣在金灯台之中看到了耶稣。
So if you can picture a candle stand
所以你现在脑中可以想象有一个蜡烛台
that has multiple candles on it.
有很多的蜡烛在上面。
And in the vision John has, Jesus is there in the middle of those candles.
在约翰的意象中，耶稣在那些灯台的中间。
And in verse 20 he tells us,
在启示录1章20节他说
he tells us that the candles are the people of God in the churches.
那7个灯台就是7个教会中所有的人。
So that Jesus is right in the middle of his people, with his people.
所以耶稣就在他所有人当中，他的子民当中。
You sang very beautifully today.
你们今天唱的歌非常的美。
And you need to know that Jesus is here.
你也需要知道耶稣就在我们当中。
Listening to you sing.
听着我们为他唱歌。
Not like a critic.
不是为了批评我们。
And not like the judge at a music competition.
也不是像歌唱比赛那一群评委一样。
But like a parent who enjoys the music a child makes.
但就像一个父母非常喜爱他孩子所出来的声音。
And John needs to have a vision of Jesus right present with him.
约翰需要看到这位跟他同在的耶稣。
There is another image in John's vision.
约翰的意象中也有另一个画面。
Which is of Jesus holding 7 stars.
是耶稣的手中拿了7颗星星。
And in verse 20 it says that the stars are the angels of the churches.
在20节中，约翰说那7星代表了7个教会的使者。
Or the messengers of the churches.
7个教会的使者。
And the picture is that Jesus is holding his people, protecting his people.
那一个图画就是耶稣把他的教会、他的子民抓在他的手上。
So John's picture is of Jesus who is in the middle of his people.
约翰对耶稣的图画就是耶稣在他的子民当中。
And of Jesus who is holding on and protecting his people.
也是一个保护他子民，把他放在手掌中心的一位耶稣。
There is another picture of Jesus' presence in verse 17.
在17节中还有一个耶稣的画面。
It says, Jesus placed his right hand on me and said, "Do not be afraid."
就是耶稣把他的右手按在我的身上，说：“不要害怕，我是首先。”
If you are with a little child,
如果你和一个小孩在一起
and they get afraid,
如果他们非常的害怕
especially if it's dark,
如果特别是在天黑的时候
you bring them close to you.
你把他们带到你的身边来
You hold on to their hand,
你抓住他们的手
or you put your hand over their shoulder,
或者是你把你的手放在他的肩上
because you want to say, "It's okay, I'm here.
因为你想告诉他说没有关系的，我在这里
I'm close by, I'm with you."
我就在你身旁
And the vision that John has of Jesus
而约翰有的这个耶稣的意象
is of Jesus who is near, who is close by.
就是一位很接近他子民的耶稣
Remember, John is a prisoner.
请记住约翰是一个囚犯
He spent his day working in the quarry.
他每天都在采石场工作
And he has in his vision a picture of Jesus who is right close by.
而这时他有一个耶稣的意象，是耶稣就在他身边。
So let's pull all of these pictures of Jesus together.
所以让我们把这些景象结合起来。
There's a question on the screen.
在屏幕上有一个问题
What has changed between the beginning of John's vision and the end of John's vision?
从约翰刚开始的意象到结尾发生什么改变了吗？
Is John still on the island of Patmos?
约翰是否还在那一个岛上？
Yes. Is John still? I didn't know you asked that question. Is John still a prisoner?
约翰还是一个罪犯吗？
Yes. Is John still going to have to work in the quarry?
约翰明天还是要到采石场去工作吗？
So has anything changed at the end?
所以到末了的时候，到底有什么事情改变了？
In one sense, no.
从一个角度来看，什么也没有改变。
In another sense, everything has changed.
而从另一个角度，一切都改变了。
Because he knows Jesus is with him.
因为他知道耶稣与他同在。
And he knows that this Jesus is powerful.
而且他知道这一位耶稣是非常有能力的。
And he knows that he's in Jesus' hand.
他也知道他被耶稣放在他的手心里。
And he knows that this Jesus is the Lord of life and of death.
他也知道这一位耶稣是生和死的王。
And so, in one sense, everything has changed for John.
所以从另一个角度来看，约翰的一切都改变了。
Because he knows that Jesus is with him.
因为他知道耶稣跟他在一起。
Remember the 3 pieces?
还记得有3个元素吗？
That we are those who suffer,
我们是在患难之中的，
looking for a kingdom,
期待着神的国。
but we experience patient endurance.
我们在这当中感受到忍耐。
And we can experience patient endurance because Jesus is with us.
我们可以忍耐，正是因为耶稣和我们在一起。
I want you to think about the most difficult place you will go this week.
我让你想象一下，这个星期你要去的，你觉得最不喜欢的地方。
Maybe students, you have a very hard exam.
也许对于学生来说，你这个星期就要考试了。
Or you have something very difficult to do at work.
或者你工作当中遇到了一个很大的困难。
Or you will be in a family setting that is very difficult.
或者你家出现了很多的矛盾。
Or you will be with someone who is very ill.
或者你生活当中有人生病了。
Maybe you will even get bad news about your own health.
或者你自己都会听到你生病了。
And you need to know that Jesus is with you.
你一定需要知道，耶稣在这一切都跟你在一起。
That he is the resurrected Son of God.
他是重生的耶稣基督，是神的儿子。
Let's pray together.
让我们一起祷告。
Father, I pray that by the Holy Spirit,
父啊，我祷告，让圣灵来，
that you will give to us a new vision of Jesus.
你会让我们重新认识这一位耶稣。
Father, maybe there are people here who don't really know Jesus.
父啊，也许这里有不认识耶稣的人，
I pray that you will open their eyes to see him.
我祷告你可以让他们打开他们眼睛，看到他，
And may they experience Jesus as John did.
让他们像约翰一样来感受他。
And for those of us who are John's sisters and brothers,
对于我们来说，我们是约翰的兄弟姐妹，
expand our vision of your Son,
请你扩大我们对你儿子的了解，
so that we will have confidence
那我们就有信心，
in this time of patient endurance.
耐心的在这个地上生活着。
So help us, I pray.
所以我祷告，请你帮助我，
In Jesus' name, amen.
主耶稣基督的名祷告。
感谢牧师给我们的分享啊，让我们有一点确信啊，神与我们同在。Jesus is the center of our lives. So